Hello, entrepreneurs. You are likely working on card number 20, talking about minimum viable products or services. Sometimes we call them MVPs. MVPs are extremely important for you. What they're going to allow you to do is run those experiments really quickly. They're going to allow you to understand your assumptions and gather data. But let me explain exactly what is an MVP before we get too far into this. So first of all, an MVP is not necessarily a prototype, and it's not necessarily a proof of concept. I think this is where people get really confused, is they think, oh, I have to build a small version of the thing that I'll eventually bring to market or have in front of my customer. Prototyping and actually proofs of concept are different. They're bigger, probably much more involved. MVPs, the purpose of these is really to build something very quickly, extremely fast. Don't spend a lot of time on it. It's a little bit dirty, it's a little bit fast, it's totally okay. You're going to measure something with it and you're going to learn. And that's it. That's all it's for. You don't really have to get too involved. So the way we define it, it's a version of, say, a new product or service, which allows your team, maybe a team of one, to collect the maximum amount of data and learning about what the customer is feeling or thinking or going to do with the least amount of effort. So you don't want to be putting them like weeks into an MVP. Like literally you can deploy an MVP within probably a couple of hours. So kind of an example we give is like, if you're thinking about an automobile, a lot of times people think of kind of a scaled down version of an automobile is like, well, first I got to build the wheels, and then I got the chassis and the transaxle and the drivetrain and all that stuff. And then there's the body of the car. And then finally at the end, I've got an automobile. So there's like no value in this system, in this model until the very end. Like this is all useless until the very end. But actually the problem that we're solving is not creating an automobile, it's a problem of transportation. So yeah, you can start with a skateboard, you can start with a scooter, or then build a scooter, a bike, a motorbike, and so forth. Now, in each one of these cases, it's not the perfect solution. We're not going for perfection. We're not going for the final thing. But what we're trying to do is understand how the customer reacts to variations on the thing that we're eventually going to build. We don't want to put them in front of the automobile right away because we don't have enough data for that. But we're testing is like, what kind of transportation do they need? How do they react to this really simple thing like a skateboard? Well, obviously it's not the perfect mode of transportation, but it is transportation, right? So you can learn from that. And then based on that experiment you run on how many people would use it and why they use it and how long they use it and why they like it and why they don't like it, you're going to learn and you're going to iterate. Maybe people told you it needs to have a handle because it's unstable and so forth. Okay, great. Still not good enough. You're going to upgrade it to a bicycle and you're going to learn why people like a bike, why they don't, weather's a factor. I have to pedal it, I get sweaty, da da da. How about a motor on it and so forth? You can kind of see how this evolves. Like each time you run an experiment, you bring a different MVP, which would be, the skateboard is 1, the scooter is 2, the bike is 3, the motorcycle is 4, and so forth. Each one of these is a different MVP, and eventually you'll get to the automobile. But in each case, you are creating value for the customer because you are solving a real problem for them. Now, another kind of example, if that feels a little abstract for you, is that I have a student who she actually wanted to build a home garden. And what she was thinking about was getting people to garden en masse and provide their own food sources in their home. And she wanted to test this experiment, but she didn't really know how. And she was like, well, I'm going to give people seeds and we're going to do a community garden and so forth. And like, well, once you have this full blown garden, like you got to really commit to that thing. So to see if people actually want to garden and are willing to take care of a plant and give them a marigold. It's really hard to kill a marigold. Give them a marigold and see what they do with it, or sell them a marigold for 99 cents. See what they do with a marigold, and then give them an edible plant. I think you can probably eat marigolds, but give them an herb or something like that. See how they change. Do they tend an herb? And do they keep it healthy and long term? And how do they learn from that? And what you do is you start building. And you understand your customer better with each particular moment in each particular experiment that you run. And that's really what an MVP is. If you stick them with a bag of seeds and make them plant out an entire garden right away, that is too much. It's a full-blown experiment. It is potentially the final thing that you might want them to do, but they're not ready for that. And potentially you're not ready for that either. There's too many unknowns. So by taking it apart a slice at a time, you can learn a lot about your customer, about their needs, and about the problem, by sort of giving them a little bit at a time and learning and learning and learning.